Hey there everybody, this is Dan from KickassMarketer.com for episode 2, Uncut and Raw. It's uncut because I don't have the time to cut or edit this stuff. I will probably pause it from time to time to move images around on my desktop. Anyway, this video was prompted by, I was in AFPlaybook.com's forum working with some of the paid members there and explaining some things on mobile, and specifically mobile that you can buy on media buy platforms like JumpTap and Millennial Media and other places like that. And then so last night I was working on a process diagram to kind of explain some things, and it just basically turned into a 3-part series. It might even be 4-part series course on media buying in general, just because there's a lot of kind of cloud and mystery over media buying, what it is and how it works and what it all means. And I think most of the new marketers out there, whether you're a new media buyer who just got hired at an agency or a affiliate network, or you're an affiliate marketer who wants to buy traffic on the mobile side, or maybe even desktop media buying, there's a lot of good, I guess you'd say okay training, there's a lot of bad training, and then there's just a lot of stuff that's not explained. So this is kind of your elementary course on media buying, and I hope it's a blessing to you. So since I can't trust that everybody's going to read what I wrote above the video in a forum or on the blog, I'm going to go ahead and read what I wrote just so all the training's in one place. So if it sounds like I'm reading, it is because I'm reading. So sorry about that. So anyway, the whole point of this is to dispel some of the myths and possibly lift some of the cloud of mystery over media buying. And I'm presenting this training video to the internet marketing world as a whole. So whether you're young, small, big, and tall, I hope this is a blessing to you all. I didn't even try to do that, by the way. That was just accidental. Anyway, so an introduction to media buying here. The words media buying are often referenced in the online marketing space, and depending on who is using the words, it can mean slightly different things. Before mobile internet became as dominant as it is now, media buying typically referred to a large brand advertiser buying ad placements on a large website or a network of sites. So think Coke buying traffic directly from MSN.com. The relationship between the advertiser Coke and the publisher MSN.com was typically one where the publisher had an in-house team of placement specialists. They'd probably call them ad reps or account reps. And then the advertiser had an in-house team of media buyers and people that would basically coordinate the media buy. So whether they call them media buyers or not, I'm sorry for the guys that are in the industry and are professional media buyers. But anyway, I'm just trying to explain the elementary process of brand media buying. So forgive me if I'm misusing terms or miscalling people the wrong title. I never was a media buyer except for the fact that I bought lots of media. But I never worked for a company buying media for anybody. I've always bought it on my own behalf or properties that my company controls. So direct media buys are what people are typically talking about when they say media buy. I guess historically that's what they were talking about. Nowadays, direct media buy is kind of me approaching a publisher, whether that's a website or an app, and buying that ad placement directly from them. And that may or may not be the option for a lot of websites and app publishers, because they may not have the sophistication to sell you media directly. They might have just built a really cool game, stuck an ad rotator in there that's fed by a syndicator, and we'll go over that more in detail in the process diagrams. But anyway, they basically stick this piece of software in their website or their app. You know, you can maybe to think it through, you can think of AdSense. You basically stick some AdSense code in your site, and whenever somebody hits the site, Google will display an ad to that person. So similar to that is how this works for media buying as well. But anyway, direct media buys, the publisher would send the advertiser an insertion order typically. So you're thinking again, you know, this is MSN.com would send the advertiser Coke an insertion order that would detail the placement, where the ads would be shown, for how long, at what cost per 1,000 impressions, and what the total ad budget was. There would also be an out clause allowing the advertiser to pause the campaign within 24 to 48 hours, and that's kind of dependent upon the policies of the publishers. The main concern of both sides for the most part is to get a consistent flow of traffic at the price desired for the whole period of time. Example, Coke wants their ads shown on the front page of MSN.com for 90 days at $2 per 1,000 impressions, and they don't want to exceed $6 million per month or $200,000 per day. The IO would be signed for the 90-day window, but could be for an entire year. I mean, if you think about the brand advertisers, they just want eyeballs on ads, reminding those eyeballs how cool their brand is, and they want that to happen consistently over time. So this might be a 1-year contract that could be paused, given whatever the agreement is. So Coke wants to have us see their ads consistently throughout the year, so that one time we want to reach for a drink, it's a Coke. So anyway, the brand advertiser typically wants a consistent flow of traffic, so 200,000 impressions per day for the whole year, because they're building and reinforcing consumer affinity for their brand and seek to build goodwill and loyalty to that brand. They aren't interested in calculating a return on investment. How could they, even if they wanted to? I mean, how could you quantify whether me seeing your ad 4 times on Facebook made me go buy a Coke? There's no way to measure that, so they can't quantify it. They just know that if they don't advertise, sooner or later we're going to forget about Coke, and they don't want that to happen. So direct media buys in this fashion are still the norm for brand advertisers, and I'm personally still active in this capacity with some very well-known publisher brands. So I go out, work with a big publisher, and sign an IO, and I can still do it with direct performance marketing, but you direct performance marketers, affiliate marketers, those types that actually want to get a return on your investment or measure a return on investment, a lot of these people don't understand your mentality, because typically the brand advertiser just comes, signs a contract, gives them money, and just comes back next year. If you are complaining that you aren't getting your return, it's hard for them. I mean, they can talk a good talk, and without defaming any brands, I can tell you most that I've worked with, and I'm talking about the publisher brands, so I'm buying traffic from them and they're displaying my ads, they don't understand return on investment. Even though they can talk the words return on, or say the words return on investment, they don't really understand that that is your main goal. As a performance marketer, you want to spend $100 and make $150. They don't care. They just want to make sure that you spend $100 every day forever, and buy a certain chunk of ad inventory that they can put on the books, and just know that the system can feed you those impressions consistently over time. They don't care whether you're making money or not, although they can give you lip service saying that yes, we understand your return on investment, a performance marketer. They just don't get it because they've been in this world so long. Their main concerns are selling all the inventory they can for the whole month. So if they their system will predict they've got so many millions of impressions this month. They've got people in-house that are going to be serving you and managing campaigns, and their goal is to sell all that inventory. So they don't really care to know what your return might be or how you may achieve it. So just a kind of a little side note there. So then there, with the evolution of the internet and advertising platforms came the option of self-serve platforms where the advertiser can now set up their campaign without the managed help of the publisher. This self-serve media buying is typically done by a third party who has negotiated an agreement with not one but many publishers. It's typically for the publishers like MSN.com's excess inventory. So MSN doesn't have all the Cokes lined up for the month, and so they've got a chunk of inventory that they can't get rid of. They'll often sell it to what I call a syndicator, who will take that and then sell it to whoever they can. Sometimes they sell it to other advertisers that are direct. Sometimes they'll put it they'll sell it to other syndicators. So basically the inventory gets moved around, and the weird thing, or the wild thing of all this that will blow your mind if you really try to grasp it, is that all this stuff is going on in real time. And once I reveal more of the pieces of all this pie, or this puzzle, sorry about the pie, I'm not going to be cutting that out, by the way. Anyway, it's all real time, and it's all moving around all over the place. There's multiple entities involved, and there's hundreds or thousands of variables that dictate where inventory goes, and you're just one little data point on this whole giant matrix of things that are going on. So I'll try to describe some of that so you get some idea of what's going on. But anyway, there are many of these self-serve media buying platforms available. Sitescout.com is one of many that I've used, but there are literally hundreds available today, and you can find them by clicking the link above the video. They come in all shapes and sizes, but typically they specialize in either prime publisher traffic or subprime, and some specialize in only desktop and some only mobile, and then some of them have both desktop and mobile media buying that you can buy. Sorry. So background on how the traffic flows for a self-serve media buy campaign. I'll go through this in the process diagram that I'll show you here shortly, but I'll kind of describe a little bit so you understand what I'm doing here. So on any given self-serve media buying platform, there's a complex network of moving pieces and entities involved between your campaign and the end user who generated the impression. I will detail it in depth in the video below, but we'll detail some of the basics here. You set up a campaign targeting a certain geography, USA for example, and are willing to pay $2 per 1,000 impressions, which is fairly cheap. I've heard of brand advertisers paying in the $5 to $10 range for long campaigns, and even higher at times like Christmas and different holidays. You load your campaign with banners specific to your campaign, and depending on the sophistication of the platform, meaning they may or may not have more targeting options for you. You set the start time and the end time and the total budget, and you may be able to, depending on the platform, set a daily budget as well, depending on that platform. Then the magic happens, and I'll kind of detail some of that magic in the process diagram and in the video, this is the video, sorry. But for the most part, your ad will be displayed across the whole network of websites that the platform has access to. And this could be thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of websites and apps. So it's I detailed in the video prior to this, which was under the, I think it was called Is Mobile, no, it's not Mobile Dead. Anyway, it was it's the other video before this. You can look it up by date. Anyway, I talked about how difficult it can be as far as optimizing a mobile campaign, and that mobile campaign that I was detailing in that video actually was a media buying campaign. So this is directly related to that, and you can go watch that video if you want more detail on that. But anyway, when you buy traffic on what I call a syndicator or a traffic platform, both those names can be synonymous. You are buying ad placements that are distributed all over the planet on hundreds or thousands of sites and mobile apps inside of the apps. So key points that I'm going to cover in this video are how the publisher distributes the impressions from their property, it can be their website or an application, an app, how the syndicator acquires traffic from the publisher, the traffic network and syndicator relationship. Those can be the same entity and often are separate entities. There are some people that just syndicate traffic, and some people that not only syndicate but also are a traffic network that sells self-serve, and they all cooperate because their main goal as basically a big web of an industry is to basically get all this inventory out there that's available, which is you and me surfing around inside of apps and websites, get all the inventory, the impressions available, sold. And they're all working together. They cross-sell inventory. They both, one network might buy traffic from one syndicator, and another network might also buy from that same syndicator. And depending on whether there's too much inventory or not, it kind of gets shoved around. And so I'll explain that a little bit better in the process diagram. And then I'll kind of detail on real-time bidding and how it becomes a factor in whether you receive traffic or not. Real-time bidding, just type it into Google. There's companies that have proprietary technologies for real-time bidding, but the key concept is this: you have a bid for a certain click or impression, and there are publishers out there with lots and lots of impressions, and all sorts of people in between you and the actual publisher and end user for that matter. And you bid a certain amount, and the publisher has so much inventory, and they want to make as much money as possible. So the real-time bidding basically is the platform saying, okay, we've got this person here with a campaign that's willing to pay so much per 1,000 impressions, and you get a publisher over here that would like to earn that kind of earnings per 1,000 impressions, and so they kind of connect you two together, and it's all real time. So you're bidding against other advertisers for that same impression, and it gets kind of channeled from the publishers to you. I'll talk a little bit about the supply and demand relationship also, and how that dictates where media buy traffic is distributed. So let's get to that. I might pause this for a moment and change my screen. Okay, I'm back, and to you, there was no lapse in time, so I won't be doing that in the future. It's kind of silly to tell you, hey, I'm going to pause and then be right back. But anyway, it just speaks to my level of sophistication in shooting training videos. I'll try to do better in the future. Anyway, I'm in a software called Lucidchart, and if you've never used it, and you're just trying to get your thoughts down as far as a process is concerned, or a mind map, this is an awesome piece of software. I've only been using it really for like 2 weeks, and I love it. I wish I had it years ago. So pretty cheap to use. It's all online. They store everything online, and it's great for explaining a process or a mind map or lots of other cool things. So anyway, you're going to see some of that on the screen in the video as I move my window around. So anyway, media buying explained, and this is going to be simple traffic flow. I've got 2 more tabs in this chart, which you can't see right now. I want to move this window just so you can see it, just for kicks. I've got media buying explained. I've got another process diagram that I'll be explaining in a second video, because my videos tend to seem to be long, and I'm trying to break them up into pieces so they're more digestible and processable. And I've got a third one too that I'm going to go over in a third video. So this is video number 1 of kind of a series, and there may even be a 4th. Haven't decided yet. So anyway, this is video number 1, and we're going to be focusing on the mobile media buying explained, but more specifically traffic flow. So let me start at the bottom here so you can understand what's going on, and I think I remember that you guys can actually see my cursor, and I'm hoping that's still the case. Otherwise, you're going to be wondering what the hell I'm pointing at. Anyway, so this is how it works. You've got what publishers, and publishers are websites or applications. So you've got Angry Birds, and you've got MSN.com, and all the other millions. I don't know if there's millions, but definitely hundreds of thousands of websites and apps all over the planet that people are in, poking around in, playing the games. And so these are the publishers, and you might have publisher number 1 all the way up to publisher 4,174. And so anyway, these publishers, whether they're a website or an app, they have in their software or on their website, they've got an ad engine. Let's just call it ad engine or ad rotator. And they get these ad engines or ad rotators from the syndicators, which I call them. And let's go use that AdSense example. You're a website, and you go grab the AdSense code, and you put the AdSense code on your website. That's the ad engine or the ad rotator. And Google, in that case, is your syndicator. And if you're buying traffic on the Google Display Network, that's exactly what's happening. So anyway, for media buying, you get all these publishers. They've got users that are actually using their websites and apps, and they're generating impressions. And so these guys use ad rotators to distribute those impressions to a syndicator. The thing that you may not have realized or know is that most, or I guess I could say all without being a complete liar, everybody I know who has a website or an app has more than one ad rotator in their apps, because again, the main goal for the publisher is to distribute all these impressions. So they want to sell those to anybody who'll buy them, and sometimes the biggest problem they've got is they've got more inventory than they can sell. So these guys usually stick more than one ad rotator in there. They might have, on the mobile side, they might have a lead bolt, what's called an API, that's the ad engine. They might have a jump tap, they might have a millennial, they might have Google in there as far as AdSense. They might have, I've heard of some guys running 8 or 9 rotators in there, and I call them rotator. It might not be the right term, but that helps explain it in more of an elementary way. So anyway, you've got this publisher who's got multiple rotators, and I'm just trying to explain that here. And so this rotator could be multiple ones stacked on each other. So you got publisher number 1, he's got an ad rotator, and he's got the syndicator number 1 who is buying traffic from this publisher. Syndicator number 2 also is buying traffic, and syndicator number 3. This can be hundreds of syndicators, and again, the word syndicator may be misused. That's just what I'm calling it. Forgive me if I'm not using the proper industry terminology. I'm not an RTB expert. Never worked for one, but I bought lots of traffic from them. So anyway, publisher has got an ad rotator. He's selling traffic to both. This line here is syndicator number 1. He's also selling traffic to syndicator number 2 and also syndicator number 3. So in this particular instance, this publisher has 3 ad rotators stacked on top of each other. And again, main purpose is to sell all of his inventory to anybody who'll buy it. And I did the same example here. You got publisher number 2 totally different website, totally different app. He's also selling traffic to syndicator number 1, syndicator number 2, syndicator number 3. So imagine that now happening over 4,000 websites. They're all selling traffic to all these syndicators, and you could use, let me keep syndicator and traffic network separate, although I detail here traffic network and syndicator are often one and the same and may or may not be an RTB. RTB is real-time bidding platform, which I mentioned before, is this idea, and I'll actually explain it a little bit more in a personal example of you setting up your campaign as a self-serve media buy, and then how your bid versus your competitors' bids and all that gets, how that all affects whether you get traffic or not. So anyway, we'll ignore that for now, but RTB is a real-time bidding platform. Some syndicators have them, some of them do not. Some of the older ones don't really have real-time bidding. They're just basically buying any inventory they can get, and often what is called run of network traffic, or RON, some of you may be familiar with. It's basically leftover inventory that couldn't be sold anywhere else, and they're just buying it dirt cheap and selling it to you dirt cheap comparatively to what the RTB traffic would be. And RON typically means lower quality, just because it's wee hours of the night, people 3 o'clock in the morning, and this is inventory they couldn't sell any other way, so you're getting this kind of excess inventory. It can still be, as far as a performance market is concerned, it can still be valuable traffic that you can make a good profit on if you do a lot of optimization. So don't just assume RON traffic is garbage traffic. It can be good traffic. It just needs to be optimized. It's often traffic from obscure countries, those kinds of things, and I'll explain more in video number 2 how that works and the relationships there. But anyway, in the meantime, let's get back to the syndicator piece. So let's just, in this case, assume there's an RTB platform that doesn't have a self-serve platform built into it to sell traffic to you directly, and they're selling traffic to let's just call it Jump Tap, or it could even be Google Display Network, because Google Display Network, I'm pretty convinced that not only do they buy traffic from not only do they buy traffic through their AdSense and their own display, I'm pretty sure, because they'd be silly not to, they also backfill some of the demand, because they likely have more demand than a lot of other traffic sources, with some other excess inventory from syndicators. I don't know that. I'm not an industry insider. I don't know anybody at Google that would tell me that, but I'm just telling you that's how all the other traffic platforms work. If they've got higher demand than they've got supply, they're just going to backfill it with other syndicator traffic. So sometimes the traffic source is just buying from another traffic source and selling it to you because you happen to be increasing their demand past their ability to supply it. So it's kind of a, I hate to use a defaming term, but it's just kind of like everybody's selling stuff to everybody. It's some people might use it's kind of a whore's market. I don't know. I said it. So anyway, everybody's selling to everybody. I mean, it's not really anything negative. It's just there's supply and there's demand. People are trying to meet the demand, and they're trying to meet the supply requirements. All these publishers have this traffic. They're trying to help those publishers get that inventory sold. You've got a traffic network over here that has more demand than they have supply, and so some of the supply from a different network gets shifted over to that network and sold to you. So it's just capitalism. I take back the word whore. That's a bad word. But some people might use that terminology, just like everybody's selling to everybody and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you're just going to pay what you're willing to pay, so what do you care? So anyway, you've got the syndicator selling to the traffic network sells to you. So in this, I'm just following the arrows. Syndicator sells to traffic network number 1, call it Jump Tap, is also selling to traffic network number 2. Syndicator number 2 is also selling to traffic network number 1 and also selling to traffic network number 2. Syndicator number 3 is also selling to traffic network number 1 and traffic network number 2. So you have this intermingled universe of basically it's inventory, traffic inventory pipelines all over the internet connecting supply and demand. That's really what it is. So, and you are the demand. You're buying traffic to drive traffic to offers, and this is how you get it. So again, you go to Jump Tap or Millennial or Google AdSense, Google Display Network, and you're buying traffic, and the traffic flows to you. So the whole process, let me wrap up this video with just kind of going over the whole process is dictated on the supply of the impressions available and your bid compared to other advertisers for those impressions. The reason why CPM is so important to publishers. You know, if you ever dabbled in adult, which at one point in my life I wasn't really an adult advertiser, but we were buying adult traffic because we had a we had an offering that was basically very broad spectrum. It was not an adult offering, it was a utility offering, and basically anybody who had a phone could use this product. So I was buying adult traffic and not selling adult products. I don't sell adult products, never have, never did any adult dating or any of that nonsense. But I have bought adult traffic from places like XOClick and Traffic Junkie and Juicy Ads. Maybe there's some tips there for some people. They all have media buying, self-serve media buying that you can buy on adult properties. And if you have an offering that may appeal to people that are consuming adult content, porn, then you can do pretty well there. The thing is that you have to be careful of with adult traffic is the volume is so high. There's so many impressions that it takes a lot of impressions to get those clicks, and it takes a lot of those clicks to get conversions. So even though you might pop in there and see that you can buy 1,000 impressions for 34 cents, that doesn't really mean squat if your click-through ratio (CTR) is like 0.001. You know, you have to buy tens of thousands of impressions just to get one click. So, and then again, these clicks are people who were surfing adult content. Your offering really must appeal to them to a point of conversion, or you're just wasting money. So, anyway, that was all said based for the reason being is that the publishers, their main concern is how much they're going to earn per 1,000 impressions. Your main concern is how much you're going to pay per click. Some networks you're going to be buying from, like the XOClicks and the Traffic Junkies and Juicy Ads, you're going to be buying per CPM often, although they now opened it up so you can do clicks. But at the end of the day, it's all about earnings per 1,000 impressions, or eCPM. They want to sell to you at the highest eCPM they can, and if your competitor is bidding higher than you, he's going to get the impression and you are not, because they are basically buying traffic from the publishers through the ad rotators and the syndicators at a certain eCPM, and they want to resell it to you at a higher eCPM. So he who has the highest eCPM wins, basically, because the publisher here, they've got an ad rotator that actually rotates all of the ad rotators, and I guess maybe ad rotator might be a misnomer here, but they basically got some kind of system in place on their website or their app that rotates the traffic through the different syndicator pieces of software so that they'll get the maximum amount of earnings per 1,000 impressions at any given time. And this is dependent upon the publisher's sophistication. This is also dependent upon a lot of other things. But if you've got a website that doesn't really have a sophisticated ad rotator, they're just going to be selling traffic to whoever will buy it at a certain flat eCPM. The guys that are sophisticated, they will be rotating it to and selling it to whoever will pay the most. So that's kind of how traffic flows to you, and what drives that traffic flow is your demand and all the other competitors or advertisers that are demanding traffic, and the cost that you're willing to pay for those impressions, and then the inventory supply and what those people are willing to sell that supply at per 1,000 impressions. So that's it. That's pretty in-depth, more than most wanted to hear, and hopefully I didn't put anybody to sleep. But anyway, I hope you thought there was some value there, and I'll go into some more detail in the next video. Thanks again, and if you haven't already, come visit me at KickassMarketer.com, and you can sign up to a blog feeder, or it's driven by Google, but the feed burner, sorry. You can sign up to the feed burner. Anytime I post something, you'll be sure not to miss. Google will be certain to get it to your inbox. So if you haven't yet, jump on KickassMarketer.com and sign up for the feed burner, and reach out to me too. I've got my email address on the site. You can send me an email, and I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please comment here in the forum if that's where this is at, or comment on the blog, and appreciate hearing from you. Thanks a lot, and have a great day or evening.